basically every line where white is deviating from open Sicilian. So we have a lot of basically options on move 2, there could be some options on move 3 after knight f3, avoiding third move d4, and so on. So usually from my experience, as far as I know, like, and heard like from my students, from different players, usually everyone is excited to get into open Sicilian with black. Well, they're excited to play either Nador, Frauser, or any other line, Sveshnik or whatever, but a lot of fear about not being able to get some interesting play in case white chooses some sidelines. So I find this topic is very important, and hopefully everyone can benefit from my video. So as you already know, those who follow my webpage as well as YouTube channel, this video will be some kind of like introduction of what you can expect from my video. Very quick introduction. So here are like e4, c5, and in this video I will be covering 7 different second moves for white. So there comes, well, huge choice. Well, I mean, quick review. So potentially, you know, this gambit line, which called a wing gambit. So how to react. Well, I understand some players like even never had a chance to watch this. Maybe they never, it's never happened in their game. So like it's very important. You study once, and then you're good to go for many years, I guess. Well, just maybe with a few updates. So that's the main purpose of this video. So after c4, there are a couple of ideas for white. One is like a3, playing in the spirit of Benko gambit. So then a5. I decided a5 is the best move. Definitely d5 is also quite interesting, but my file will be focused on a5. So now after d4, my choice will be d5. This is well known. And after ed5 to play knight f6. Not everyone knows that knight f6 is still a good move here, slightly better than queen d5. Now the next move I will be covering is knight f3. I don't know exactly what is the official name of this variation, but it's for some reason it's kind of like associated with the name of Russian Grandmaster Vadim Zvyagintsev, who is well known for like employing this move in many games. What is black setup? Black basically everything is open. Well, black can play anything, but as usually happens in sidelines, Sicilian sidelines, fianchetto is the best choice. g6 followed by bishop g7. This line is covered as well with the like main options for white, which is like plan where white goes with knight f3 or f4. Now after knight f3 we have f4. Well, I find it's extremely important here to meet this move with d5, with very challenging d5. Otherwise white can get some improved versions of closed Sicilian. So the point of d5, ed5, again we are seeing here move knight f6. Not everyone familiar with this idea. Knight f6, we don't want to take queen d5 right away in view of knight c3, gaining the tempo. So after knight f6, basically we kind of like sacrifice the pawn. Like I still believe it's kind of like temporary sacrifice, although in some lines we kind of like forced to play pawn down. So well, an obvious idea that if white decides to control the pawn right away, there comes e6, and after d6 bishop e6, there is a like very serious pressure over d file as well. Like white cannot be proud of move f4, which is significantly weakening the king side. So that's a wonderful position for black. Therefore, in this situation, usually white players opt for bishop b5 check. And now, after serious investigation, I decided to choose knight d7 instead of bishop d7, which is probably also perfectly fine. Knight b7 with the idea, here's the model line that what can happen after c4. Fianchetto is coming, g6 followed by bishop g7. So we play fianchetto, and then once the fianchetto played, we have knight b6 move that will kind of like challenge white light square bishop. So it's misplaced on b5. a6 is coming, as well as e6, and basically the same idea. It's of course a little bit better version for white after d6 bishop e6, but still a lot of compensation and a lot of pressure over d file. So a wonderful position, wonderful counterplay for black. what is important in every line that I mentioned before, there are like really good chances for white to take over in the opening. This is what I like. I think like if you are faced with sidelines, why not to fight for advantage with black? So here knight e2, it's very tricky move actually. Knight e2, the whole point of this move that white maintains the option of playing d4 and transferring the game into open Sicilian. So for instance, if neither player decides to play knight c6 in this position, they could come d4 and suddenly the player will end up in some, let's say, Rouser or Sveshnikov, so which is like doesn't fit the repertoire obviously. So we have to be careful, and I basically what I did here is like for mostly for neither of players, so I decided just to go d6. Basically, it's not only for neither players, but it's a good fit for every Sicilian player who plays like Rouser, Dragon, or any other variation in Sicilian. So here basically after this we enter close Sicilian. I mean, there is still an option d4, but obviously I'm not covering it here. So g3, g6, bishop g2, bishop g7, d3, knight c6, castle, so just a normal position, h3, followed by f4. That's kind of like pretty normal closed Sicilian, even though like if somebody plays closed Sicilian right away knight c3, I would rather prefer setup with e6 and knight on e7. Here we were kind of forced to have knight on f6, so we should know how to react also with this setup. So the thematic idea obviously is well known here. We start preparing b5, and this is where our counterplay. After f4, there are many choices here for black how to continue in terms of like different setups. For my answer to this question, what exactly how we arrange pieces, please watch my video. So another move that covered in my file, a3, looks like very strange. Definitely it's just a sideline, but nothing dangerous about this. So as I already mentioned a few times, g6, like when there is an option of fianchetto, it's always a good choice for black. g6, let's say before I'm covering as well h4, absolutely crazy idea. a3, h4 just cannot work well. After knight f6, we probably have better chances with black. So after b4, it's just like more or less positional game. Knight c3, d6, there is nothing dangerous about this line. So another move covered here is g3. So once again, looking for kind of like close Sicilian positions. I find it's like very important here to know d5 in order to avoid maybe you know, some once again kind of like improved versions of close Sicilian. What doesn't mean that, for instance, white since white doesn't have knight on c3, there could be c3, d4 at some point. So d5 is very challenging, very aggressive. The main point here that after e d5, queen d5, and knight f3, bishop g4, bishop g2, we play queen e6 check, and we basically force king f1 because queen e2 is really ugly move. Black is better after this. After king f1, there is quite interesting double-edged play, but with the precise play that you can find obviously in my file, black is doing really great with good chances to have some kind of like initiative or take over quite soon in the opening. So those are like lines, and now finally my main line here in this video will be b3 move, where like I know this move is quite popular like among my students. I see it's quite often, and not surprising that white is getting advantage out of opening in many cases. Well, the reason for that simply like nobody put the effort to study this line for black, and actually the most aggressive move here, g6, the most interesting. So we also want to fianchetto our bishop, so why not, right? So of course after bishop b2 there is no possibility for us to play bishop g7, but there is nothing wrong with knight f6. So knight f6 is coming, and we are not worried about bishop f6, af6 pawn structure. This is covered in my file, the idea f6 f5 to carry out f6 f5 with like very nice play and very powerful dark squared bishop. So the main line e5, knight d5, and it's obviously, guys, like it's very kind of like a little bit frightening to go for this position like when you don't know the theory, because it seems like there is some tactics There we connected with the e6 ideas, but actually nothing is working, and black is everywhere perfectly fine. Not only perfectly fine, but actually having like a nice game, and in many lines taking over, as I already mentioned. So here we have, first of all, e6 is well met by f6. No problems whatsoever here. There is a Magnus Carlsen game here where he got like really better in a few moves and one unconvincing game. Bishop c4, knight b6. Once again, optically maybe looks a bit scary. There is e6, there is bishop f7, but we are well prepared for both. So in case of bishop f7, we play king f7, e6, and obviously king g8, basically getting two bishops for the rook, and probably clearly better game. I mean, for sure, clearly better game, almost a winning position even, I would say. And after e6,